everyone. Welcome to Terror Talk in the end of March.
Man, where is this year going?
I know, right? But before that, I did want to tell you, before we, say, wow, 3 months are gone. Where did they go? I mean, you know what? I think they washed away in the rain is what they did in California. But I did want to mention that my local movie theater, and if your local movie theater is not doing this, I say you sign a petition. But my local movie theater, if you go and you say, hello, I'd like some Junior Mints, they say, would you like regular or frozen? And I said, what? And he goes, this delightful person said, I can get you some from the refrigerator. And I was like, whoa, wait, what? And so they brought me Junior Mints from the refrigerator.
I mean, that's the best way to eat those. And then if you throw them on the popcorn and the salt melts.
I'm like, this man knows how to sell.
I'm going to make some popcorn tonight.
Okay. I just want to mention that. I know I cut you off. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say that I'm really excited because baseball season. That's all. Just
when
having
does
my
that
own thought.
start?
Just having, well, they're in spring. Well, March, if we're recording early. End of March is, Dodgers opening game is the end of March. So
okay, so it probably already happened. Right on. How are you feeling about the Dodgers this season, Cavi?
I can't make a comment because we get really far until we don't. Yeah. And it's frustrating.
Well, baseball seasons are very long.
But I'm also a Detroit fan, so you
can just switch over to that if things
I
get
have
too
two
horrible.
really good teams that have done well in previous seasons, but then they both get to the World Series or close to the World Series, and then it's like, well, never mind. With the exception of the pandemic, is when the Dodgers decided we would win. It was just like really, and we had like 5 people in the crowd.
No,
and I don't even think we ended up having a parade because of the pandemic. So anyway, this is not a baseball podcast. I'm just.
To soothe your angst, I just want you to know that you can get a Leatherface action figure from Trick or Treat Studio.
They just released those, right?
I know, yes.
I saw that.
You can also get a Ghostface shirt from Cavity Colors. It's pretty cool. It's very colorful, and it's got the Ghostface on it. There's a lot of merch that's a lot of fun right now, and of course, Scream Factory always has great stuff. So
I saw those Leatherface
and
ones.
Fright Rags. Like if you guys don't subscribe and get texts and stuff from Fright Rags, they always send out some great stuff. So Scream Factory, Fright Rags. We're going to Monsterpalooza in just like 2 months, a little over 2 months. We're going to go to Monsterpalooza and pick up some shizzle. We're going to take pictures with people and buy things. That's basically what we do.
Yes, that is true.
Okay, I'm glad you agree.
I do agree. Just for anyone who is waiting on bated breath, March 30th is the Dodgers opening game against Arizona.
So when this airs, it happened yesterday, but we don't know the outcome.
We won. Dodgers won.
There you go.
So I just wanted to also throw out there, since we're throwing some marketing stuff out there,
sure,
that Peacock is throwing out some really good stuff right now. And I know that we're recording earlier than our March episode, but I'm assuming it's still going to be on there. Peacock's getting better at horror, honestly. It's one of those apps that a lot of people aren't sure if they want it, but I think it's getting, just like Hulu, it's getting better over time. There's so many really good classic ones that they're streaming right now. One being My Friend Dahmer, that came out in 2017. And this takes place when he was a child, and it does like all of his childhood. It really explains. Yeah, I liked that one a lot.
I did too.
See what else is going on is Body Bags, which is a fun one from 1993. Willard from 1971. Day of the Dead. Prom Night. Ginger Snaps. Night of the Demons. Bad Moon, which is a fun one. Abominable. And then I think there's also 1 or 2 more. But yeah, I just it's cool to see when these apps put all like the oldies but goodies up.
Well, and they're known, Peacock's kind of known for having a lot of the classics. So if that's something you like, then that might be a good one for you. I know about I think about half of our Discord community, which is made up of our patrons, has that. They're
also streaming a movie called Mikey. I don't know if you remember this one, Shannon. It came out in 1992. Brian Bonsall, who played the little brother Andy on Family Ties back in the day. This movie was really creepy. It was about a child psychopath.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it was like a made for TV or if it was an actual, but it's kind of terrifying.
That sounds kind of terrifying.
Yeah. And it's so random that it was, so it has Hellraiser's Ashley Lawrence and Brian Bonzel from Family Ties when he was little. It's just kind of random, but I do remember when that came out because he was kind of big at the time because he was only on the last couple seasons of Family Ties when they had the little brother.
Yeah.
And now he's playing, and he was like the cute little brother that Alex P. Keaton tried to make a Republican.
Oh, okay.
And this movie,
Great.
he's like playing a psychopath. So
I would like to watch a little bit of that show just for nostalgia.
I do sometimes. Yeah.
That's fun. I literally haven't watched it for decades probably, so that would be kind of fun to sit down and watch.
I've been going through some of those classic shows.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, let's do this little thing that we like to call Oh, gee, mini Christmas.
Shannon,
Kathy.
what is the leading cause of death for pregnant women in the U.S.?
I was going to answer,
No.
but I'll wait.
Number 2, although it took place in Haddonfield, Illinois, which 2 cities of Los Angeles was Halloween filmed?
Oh, interesting.
Number 3, in The Wizard of Oz, what did they use for snow in the poppy field scene?
Fun.
Number 4, what is the central motivating factor for cannibalism among serial killers?
Motivating factor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And number 5, what is the definition of a visionary serial killer?
Fun. Such light facts. Thank you
I like
very
to
much.
keep it
for
light.
that. Yeah. I wanted to mention that I have started a couple of books, and so I wanted to throw them out there. One is the next book in our true crime book club that is facilitated by our friend and patron Pepper on our Discord. And this next true crime book that we are reading for that book club is called People Who Eat Darkness, the true story of a young woman who vanished from the streets of Tokyo and the evil that swallowed her up. So that's the next one we're reading. I have started. I will not say anything about it till I get to the end, but that's the next one. We'll probably have a chitty chat at the end of that around June. Our True Crime Book Club is more like quarterly. It's like every 3 or so months we have a discussion around that, either text or voice, just depending on our mood. And then I also started a book called Sundial, Catriona Ward. I may have mentioned this before, but
it sounds familiar.
I may have mentioned that I was reading it when I first started it. It's the same, for our book club, we did The Last House on Needless Street, which is the same author. So I'm reading.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm reading Sundial, which is yet another like twisty psychological horror from this author. And it's got a similar feel from it. And I will delay my comments until the end about it, but it does have a similar feel. It's definitely not the same story, but some of the same personalities, I guess you'd say, and a similar sort of style where you're not quite sure what's going on, and you can tell it's not reliable.
Gotcha.
So if you don't like that, it's probably not going to be for you, but it's I'm reading it, and I'm concentrating on it because last time I think I told you guys that I finished Whispers in the Dark finally, so that one's off my table. And we had finished something else that we were reading with the True Crime. I finished one of those. I finished something for our main book club, our horror book club. So I felt like, okay, the decks were clear.
Yeah.
So now I'm actually kind of driving to finish this one. So,
Got it.
So hopefully soonish we will be talking about that one.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
I'm also reading a book as well.
Tell us.
It's a longer one, so it's taken me. It's hard because we have all these other books that we're reading for our thing.
It's great.
but
it's very rich.
It is,
All
and
books.
I'm gonna take this one on the plane with me by the
Good.
time
Oh, you'll finish it for sure.
Yeah, because I think I have like 500 pages left.
You'll
It's a
be
long
giving
one.
it. You'll be giving it away in Africa.
Yeah. So this one's called Summer of Night by Dan Simmons, who is a big fan of and writes very similarly to Stephen King. It's the summer of 1960, and in the small town of Elm Haven, Illinois, 5 12-year-old boys are forging the powerful bonds that a lifetime of change will not break. From sunset bike rides to shaded hiding places in the woods, the boys' days are marked by all of the secrets and silences of an idyllic middle childhood. But amid the sun-drenched cornfields of their loyalty will be pitilessly tested when a long, silent bell peals in the middle of the night, the townsfolk now know it marks the end of their carefree days. From the depths of the old central school, a hulking fortress tinged with the mahogany scent of coffins, an invisible evil is rising. Strange and horrifying events begin to overtake everyday life, spreading terror through the once idyllic town. Determined to exorcise this ancient plague, Mike, Dwayne, Dale, Harlan, and Kevin must wage a war of blood.
Okay.
Yeah. So
How is it so far? Pretty
it's
good?
really fun. And, it has the same character development of like the kids in It.
Okay.
Right. Where like
that's
they're all
fun.
riding their bikes and they're running into shit and they're like, why is that there? And, Dwayne went out last night. Did you hear what happened to the,
Oh,
like, so
and you love that.
I love it.
Yeah. You love that. The teenage kid thing. And
yeah, these kids are like I think middle school age or maybe like freshmen in high school, but it has that same small town where they're all kind of like Summer of '84.
just like
Right.
you were
They're
saying,
getting into
Stephen King
shit.
vibes.
Yeah, they're getting into shit.
Stand
and
by Me and
all this stuff. And of course, no one's believing them,
The vibes.
So, yeah.
The vibes. Nice.
So far, so good.
I'm glad. So yeah, that's some of the books we're reading. I've got some other books I'm reading, but you know what? We can only do so much. I saw a movie called Swallowed from 2022. It just came out on streaming. It's a horror thriller. It has LGBTQ vibes. So it has that representation in it. It follows two best friends on their final night together with a nightmare of drugs, bugs, and horrific intimacy. Yes. So the horror vibes of this are bugs. So there's bugs. And if you don't like bugs, or if you're scared of bugs, then you should probably watch this because there's, that's going on. Jenna Malone is in this. She's got a very small part, and it's a little bit different for her, actually. But she is definitely not the main character of this, but she does play a minor role. There's not very many people in this. It's very kind of indie in the way it is, but it's good production quality.
Okay.
And everything. It's just not, there's like 3 settings and 4 people. It's just not a big. But Cooper Cook, or it's Koch, he's in this, and he is quite the handsome guy, and they capitalize on that. Let's just put it that way. And I found this very intriguing. I enjoyed this movie. I mean, if enjoy is really the word.
He has like a maniacal smile.
It's not like a fun movie in that way. It's more like, oh, wow, holy shit. But I felt that the tension was really good. I was definitely not expecting, I wasn't exactly expecting the way it ended. So that's always nice when it's a little bit different. But what I would say about it is that the performances were super solid. And that makes a big difference to me. You guys find I mention that a lot. Like if the performances are really good, I can forgive several things. But I felt like the story tracked pretty well. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars, and I actually gave it I liked this movie. Like I would watch it again, especially if you're trying to find things that have bugs in it type of thing. It's very simple. I would say it's one of those movies that you would probably say it's simple but effective. It didn't overcomplicate itself.
Cool.
It wasn't trying to be 45 different things and trying to throw every horror trope in it. It's an isolation horror. Like I said, there's only 4 people in it. It has LGBT vibes, and there's body horror, but not in a gory way. It's not gory and graphic, but there is body horror because the bugs and blah, blah, blah. It's more about how your imagination is made to squirm, pun intended. It's slow. It's realistic, though. I thought it was well paced. I wanted them, of course, to take it a little bit more over the top because, creature type of things. It's not really a creature feature, but of course it would have been fun. But it's solid the way it is. It's the same director that did The Ruins.
Oh, okay. That's probably why Jenna Malone's in it.
Probably, and probably why there's some kind of organic, there's an organicity to it. The Ruins was plant-based, and this is about bugs. And my favorite line is, "You dick teased the wrong queen, bitch."
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's my review.
I've watched a really fun one. Haven't seen Lauren Holly in a long time, and I like her because she has no issues with playing into what she's good at.
Okay.
which is either because she always plays a very hypersexualized character, and she like really leans into the sadism in this one. But this is a movie called Dead Shack. It's horror. I don't know if I would label it as, I guess it is a horror comedy. I didn't think it was that ha-ha funny, but it definitely had, I want to say that it is Canadian. On a weekend getaway at a rundown cottage in the woods, a 14-year-old teen, his best friend, and his best friend's older sister must work together to save their hard-partying parents from their predatory person in the cabin next to them. It's a zombie film, and Lauren Holly has to feed her zombie family. And she is...
Which lends itself to a comedy.
And she dresses like SWAT and goes out and,
Sweet.
kills people and feeds them to her family. And the dad, who is played by Donovan Stinson, is really, really fantastic in this.
That's amazing.
And so I had this is a fun one. If you can lean into the horror comedy. I know not everybody likes it, but I think it was super entertaining. And sometimes the humor is... kind of like you had described Cocaine Bear a couple weeks ago. Sometimes the jokes fall flat, but overall it's relatable. It's funny. That
sounds like a good time, right?
Yeah.
That just sounds like
it's
a good
light.
time. Yeah. And it's on Shudder, so why not check it out?
Why not?
I saw a movie called Nocebo, 2022. It's a folk horror, and those don't always land for me. They can be a little woo-woo and kind of out there and not hold together sometimes. But this was a folk horror in the very best ways. Like, I enjoyed the slow burn. It was very creepy, but it was grounded and they kind of used it in the worst use of nature-based religious ritual and practices. Like the worst way you could practice any of that is what they did. So let me give you the description based on that. A fashion designer hires a nanny from the Philippines to assist her in caring for her family while she is suffering from what she believes is a tick-related illness.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, bugs again, right? I had a lot of bugs this month. The nanny uses traditional Filipino folk healing techniques to help her, but in the process of doing so, she uncovers a horrifying truth about why she is there and why her employer is actually sick. And I would just say that this Filipino actress, I assume it's a Filipino actress, so maybe I shouldn't make that assumption, but she's this little tiny lady and she kicks serious ass in a folk horror kind of way. And she's quite scary, and it's definitely like a revenge situation, and it's definitely got that kind of city, urban American white people privilege going on, and what happens with that when you get your comeuppance. And it's kind of brutal, and I kind of loved it. So yeah, I did a 3 out of 5 where it's like really solid flick.
Folk horror it's hit or miss for me. Folk horror is one of those genres that every now and then I'll really like it, but sometimes it's a little too slow for me.
Me too, but this really lands.
Good.
So I think it's worth it.
Yeah, that's great. I watched a movie. It's a Spanish movie called Don't Listen. It's on Netflix. Daniel and Sarah have a 9-year-old son, Eric, and they've just moved to a new home, not knowing the neighbors call it the House of the Voices. Eric is the first one to notice the odd noises behind each door. This is certainly a film about grief. It's a haunted house film. It's a little bit of a slow burn. I thought that it was a good story, and I thought that there was enough of a creep factor. A lot of these movies have been made about couples with a young child that either loses the child to the house or the child becomes possessed.
Really common right now. And pregnancy horror movies.
And pregnancy horror, yeah. So this one falls in that genre. So which again, just like with folk horror, can be hit or miss for me. But there was something really, I think it was more, for me, it was more atmospheric. And I feel that the father is very believable in this role, which always helps because sometimes it's very over dramatic and the tropes are too overdone. So I think that, and you can watch it either subtitled or dubbed, I believe, but I thought it was a good film.
Yeah, I have seen this picture a lot. I looked it up while you were talking, and I've seen the picture of it a lot, and I just keep flipping by it, I guess. Maybe because this trope of grief and kids and all of this is kind of, I've just watched a lot of that along the way, and the pregnancy horrors I'm also kind of sick of. So, but
very much.
You'd say this one is worth it?
I thought so. Yeah,
Okay,
I
great.
did.
I also watched a movie called All Eyes. 2022, a disgraced podcast host interviews an eccentric farmer who claims to have a monster living in the woods near his house. So I did not have a lot of hopes for this one, so I went in not expecting anything. That may have helped, but I also kind of enjoyed this movie. Like, I wouldn't necessarily sit down and watch it again, but here's the thing. There's this older guy, the farmer, right? And his name is Don, and Don is everything. Like, he is hilarious. Like, this is supposed to be a horror comedy, and it's really not that funny, but he's hilarious. And the way he has set up everything is really great. So I would watch it just for him. This is a smorgasbord of like subgenres. I feel like this was like I don't know, but it feels like a new filmmaker that just threw everything in the movie thinking like he'd never make another movie. But the comedy and the creature, once that kind of emerges, and they do emerge, like you do get a creature. It's just better than I expected. I was looking for something ridiculous, and this wasn't it. In other words, I was pushing play on like, oh, I want to watch trash.
Yeah.
You know how it happens.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to watch some trash.
And then you're like, this isn't trash.
And you kind of gauge and you try to say like, oh, this has got to be trash. And then it really wasn't. So just know that's where I was coming from.
Okay.
When you go like, that wasn't very good. But it was way better than
you expected. I mean, yeah, it's you have to describe the context, right?
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
That's awesome.
Let's go for some answers, yeah?
Who the fuck's with you?
When will you ever get sick of...
Speaking of pregnancy.
Yeah, I know. You see how we did that?
What is the leading cause of death for pregnant women in the United States?
I believe it's homicide. I was wondering if you were going to go like domestic violence, specifically to like being killed by their partners, because I know that's kind of...
That's where a lot of the homicide comes from.
Heavy when you're... Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's what I kind of figured, but I don't know the
Pretty sad.
Yeah,
that's the number one.
Yes, it is.
Although it took place in Haddonfield, Illinois, which two cities of LA was Halloween filmed?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that one.
The first one surprised me. The second one didn't, because it looks like Haddonfield.
Okay.
West Hollywood is the first one.
Okay.
And Pasadena.
Oh, Pasadena.
Pasadena, if people have never been to Pasadena, it has an old town, East Coast vibe if it's set up right.
It's very classic.
It is. That's where like Bird Box was filmed.
It's got a lot of old money and a lot of classic buildings, and yeah.
Yeah, if you've seen the movie Bird Box, that I remember I think I was doing my... Was I still in my doctorate? Maybe I was done at that point. But when that came out, that whole street where the house was filmed is right there in Pasadena.
Oh, interesting.
Number 3. In The Wizard of Oz, what did they use for snow in the poppy field scene?
Well, I don't want to disparage Wizard of Oz, but I believe I remember it was like asbestos or
so
something.
potent chrysotile asbestos.
So super.
Yeah.
Is this before we knew it was bad for you? I'm guessing. Like there was a time.
Yeah, I mean
obviously,
the Tin Man, the original Tin Man almost died from the lead in the paint.
I mean, yeah, there was a time when all of our houses had asbestos in them, and and they still do. But as long as you don't uncover it, it's fine.
Yeah, that's right. You just don't touch it. Yeah. So Bird Box was way after my doctorate. That was 2018 when that came out. It had a big draw in Pasadena at that time. Number 4, what is the central motivating factor for cannibalism among serial killers?
Well, I could get all like psychological about it.
You're probably right. What do you go with it?
I mean, I wasn't going to go psychological. I had like a factual thing, but well, I think they want to become you or meld with you or obviously ingest you and own you and have them be a part of you. I don't know.
Yeah, they want to take you everywhere.
There you go.
Yeah.
Carry you around their pocket.
The loneliness. They become part of you.
What would Kathy do?
You.
Dahmer was saying, what would Kathy do? Let me eat her and hold her in my pocket.
Yes.
The other answer I was going to give was like calories.
Yes.
But,
protein.
Like you'd eat any animal was kind of where I don't know, the other side of my brain was going. Go ahead.
Number 5, what is a visionary serial killer?
they hear voices and see visions?
Yeah, well, along the lines of that, yeah. So one who believes that a separate entity is commanding them to kill.
Sure. Yeah, let's not blame ourselves.
Ooh.
I'm not in charge. The dog told me to do it.
That is correct. What's his face?
Yeah.
What was his name?
Was it Gacy?
No.
No, it was the...
Oh my God, what was his name? They did a whole movie on him. Well, they did a movie on all of them. That's going to drive me crazy.
Well, let's look it up. David Berkowitz.
Thank you.
The son of Sam.
Son of Sam.
Damn it.
Son of Christ. I couldn't remember it.
Thank
I
you
don't
so
think
much.
Christ had a son. Okay.
He did and died for our sins.
Isn't that Christ?
Yeah.
And the Son of Christ?
Jesus Christ.
And the Son of Christ? Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
Christ.
thank you for listening. This has been an episode of Terror Talk with a Bible lesson thrown in. My name is Shannon.
And I'm Kathy. Sleep safe, everyone.